What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and how it may be impacted by the Fed speakers coming out for next week, because we have so many Fed speakers on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we also have Jerome Powell on Friday speaking. So I'm going to break down why this is very significant, who are these Fed speakers, and why you need to pay very, very close attention to what they're about to say. Before I break anything down about this, though, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. The best part is any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends very, very soon. I'm also not going to be promoting this for much longer. This is one of the last days I promote this, so please check it out before I move on to promoting something else. Offer ends very soon. So anyways, when it comes to Tesla, this thing sold off. It was down 2.38% for the day on Friday. And it did something very similar to what I was anticipating, getting a pump into the open, approaching 178, and then just getting a sell off, a rug pull as time went on. I wasn't sure if the sell off would happen as soon as Friday or if not by like Monday, but it did. I was basically anticipating, and I did warn you guys that a top was forming and we'd likely get that dump. That's what happened so far. So now that Tesla's right here, it's down a little bit more in the after hours. The real question is what's going to happen as we approach Monday and beyond. I'm anticipating that there could be some potential for a bounce in the markets, and this might help Tesla make an attempt to pump. However, I'd be very careful because of these Fed speakers. We have a ton of them actually. And what they say will affect how the market moves, but there is a probability of what they could cause for the markets based off historical data. And by using historical data, I could give you guys an idea of what could end up coming on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to try to be very brief with each one. But starting us off for the first day of the week, which is Monday, let me just get to Monday real quick. Monday is right here. And before I talk about that, though, let me just mention that Bowman from the Fed, who tends to be more dovish, was speaking, and she ended up saying things that caused the market to drop about inflation. And she said that inflation is too hot, the Fed has to remain restrictive, and this caused the market to drop. When I talk about these speakers, I'm going to use two main words, hawkish and dovish. If a Fed speaker is hawkish, it means that they're promoting more restrictive policy in terms of their monetary stance. And that means that they want to tighten on financial conditions. They want to tighten on policy, which is bearish for the stock market. That tends to be more bearish for the market, that the market tends to drop when they say things, the hawks, right? Think about a hawk. They're very sharp. They can be more stern. That is why when I say hawkish, that favors downside for the stock market. Now, when we say dovish for the Fed, right? Another word is dovish, right? Think about a dove. They're very peaceful. They're very silent and peaceful and amazing. The doves tend to be more, I would say, like less stern and restrictive. They favor quantitative easing. They favor not being as scary to the eyes of investors in a way. And this favors upside for the market. It favors the bulls, okay? So the doves favor the bulls, the hawks favor the bears. Anyways, when it comes to the market, now we had Bowman, who tends to be a dove, but she ended up saying something that caused the market to drop anyways. So sometimes we could see Fed speakers who are typically on one side that could end up saying the opposite things that favor the other side. We have the hawk skill right here. Those who are more dovish. One of the most dovish people is like Kashkari, also Brainerd and Powell, and even Bowman tends to be a little bit more on the hawkish side. I'm sorry, the dovish side, but she did cause a bit of a drop. Then we have other speakers like, especially Bullard, who tends to be very, very hawkish. The market typically responds negatively to when he speaks. So I'm going to talk about who these speakers are and how they could affect the market going forward. So now on Monday, we have Bostic, Kashkari, and then Barkin. And then finally at 2 o'clock p.m., which is about 5 p.m. Eastern time, we have Cook speaking. So I'm not going to worry about Cook. Let's just talk about these three. Bostic, and according to the chart, it tends to be more on the hawkish side. So the market might get a bit of a pullback at around, this is like maybe 45 minutes before the market opens. The market's going to be pulling back. But then Kashkari tends to be more dovish, so maybe the market won't respond as much. Maybe the market tries to bounce a little bit. So this is a speaker that tends to cause bearish price action. The next one's going to likely cause bullish price action, and then Barkin is going to speak at about 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. When Barkin speaks, you have to look at Barkin, who is right here. They tend to be more hawkish. So Barkin could cause some downside. Now, I want to note something else. I know that this chart right here was updated on August of 2021, but there's still massive truth behind it. Most of this is still accurate, if not all of it. And I personally have memories of these Fed speakers when they speak and how they affected the markets. So I'm just going to use both of those. So Monday is still favoring maybe a bullish open followed by some bearish price action over time, because bargain could cause some downside. Make sure you guys are ready for this. So far, we have two bearish Fed speakers or two hawkish Fed speakers and one dovish one for Monday, favoring the bears a little bit. For Tuesday, we have Mester, who tends to be in the middle. So this is very neutral. Bostic, who tends to be more hawkish, which favors the bears. And then we have Barr and Williams. One thing I remember is Barr has caused downside in the markets, but Williams tends to be in the middle, if not a little bit more dovish. So it's very mixed. We have two doves and two hawks for Tuesday. We're kind of in the middle for that day. I'd be very careful, anyways. There are other pieces of data that will affect the markets, but just be open minded, because when the Fed speakers speak, the market could oftentimes react to it in real time. It's not always solely based off technical analysis. For Wednesday, we don't have too much going on, just some crude oil data, no Fed speakers, surprisingly. And then for Thursday is coming. We have initial jobless claims, and we have, I believe, two Fed speakers. We have Jefferson. The market has dropped when they spoke. Actually, no, the market is kind of chopped around. Didn't really do too much the last time I remember it. Uh, but Bar has caused the market to drop. It was Bar that caused the drop in your open, so we might cool off a bit on Thursday because of that, and then we'll see how it goes after that. The market could still be very reactive to a lot of these Fed speakers, so make sure you're ready for that. And then for Friday, we have Williams, who tends to be in the middle, if not a little bit more dovish. So hopefully it's okay for open. But that does not matter, because the big guy is coming at 8 o'clock a.m. in my time, which is about 11 a.m. Eastern time. We have Jerome Powell speaking. And that's going to be the biggest Fed speaker of the week. So all the Fed speakers are coming up, and they're just, getting the market ready. They're firing up the markets so that when Powell comes, we're ready too. It's pretty interesting. I do believe this is going to be significant, but it's not going to be the most significant thing for the next month. We have so many other factors, of course, but it's worth noting how this could affect the market, especially a stock like Tesla. On Monday, we could see Tesla try to rebound, try to get a push to the upside. That's what tends to happen after this like downside that came. There is a possible divergence forming right here on the MACD. Also in the RSI, I believe Tesla might make an attempt to rebound, try to get back to 170, but I'm not counting on it being way too bullish. And then by the time we get to the middle of the day, we have some hawkish Fed speakers that could slow the market down, and we could get a very flat close for Monday. By Tuesday, it depends on the market. If the market sells off even more, we could see Tesla start to downtrend, especially because of the Fed speakers. We have a bunch of them. It's basically 50-50. But once again, I mean, they're going to be talking about the debt ceiling and inflation. So I'm kind of in the middle in terms of the Fed, the way the Fed will impact the markets on Tuesday. But the technical analysis is telling us that there's going to likely be downside coming, so we could still see the market sell off anyways. Maybe the Fed causes it for Tuesday. For Wednesday, we're kind of in the middle, not sure what's going to happen depending on the Fed. The Fed's not really doing anything. We don't have too many speakers. For Thursday, the Fed speakers could cause more downside. We have someone in the middle and someone that's more hawkish. So the market could sell off even more, and we could see Tesla continue to drop for Thursday. But then for Friday, it all depends on Jerome Powell. Now, here's what I'm seeing for the markets. Most catalysts out there are favoring the bears, from the debt ceiling to the market being overextended to the way that the shorts, or not just the shorts, but also like the institutions, how they're hedging for the VIX volatility. Most things are favoring the downside for the markets in terms of news. We also have more potential bank collapses and maybe another spike in inflation by the time we get to June. So there are a lot of catalysts for the downside coming. And Jerome Powell gives some hope for the bulls. If he announces a pause or something like that, I would adjust my take on the market. It depends on what he says, of course, for Friday. But I don't really think it makes sense for him to announce a pause if he didn't do it during the latest FOMC meeting, because we have one more FOMC report coming out. So maybe Powell could be a nothing burger. Maybe it will be. Maybe it won't be. We'll see. But here's what I'm seeing. If Powell does not give the hope for the bulls that they have, and if he does not pump the markets on Friday, then the odds will heavily favor the downside then, because the bulls are going to lose another piece of hope, right? And that's Jerome Powell. And then you have to remember, Friday is just 1 week, right? It's just 1 week. Then we have the next week, the last week of May. Then we have so many other factors that will continue to affect the markets. So I'm still holding my stance. Right? Sentiment is shifting in favor of the bears. People are becoming more fearful over the debt ceiling fiasco. Wall Street wants to incite fear. They want downside for the stock market. They're going to be shorting and making money in the process. That's the first thing to remember. Inflationary expectations are going up. People are expecting the market to come down. They're expecting more pain in terms of inflation, which is very possible given what Iran and OPEC Plus are doing right now, right? Cutting production potentially, especially during the summertime. Then we have the market being overvalued, looking at the forward PE ratios, and finally the volatility, the way that the smart money or institutions are pricing in and hedging against volatility spikes. That's telling us right now the data is favoring the bears right now, right? We're waiting for the VIX to get a breakout. I think it will over the next month get a nice breakout. It's just a matter of time, okay? So the point I'm trying to make is the odds are still favoring downside by the time we get to June, regardless of what Powell does, unless he does something massive, such as announcing a pause. Not too confident about that though. But once again, we're going to react to Powell, so I'd be very careful for Friday. As we approach Powell on Friday, the odds are favoring sideways and downside for the markets. I think SPY and QQQ have more downside to come. They might pump a little bit by Monday and then start to slow down as the day goes on after the Fed speakers come. And then they could continue to slow down for the remainder of the days approaching Jerome Powell. So we could see a lot more downside. We could see SPY start filling these gaps below, just at least one of them. And then Powell comes. I don't know what Powell's going to cause, if he's going to try to pump the markets or not. I'm not too sure. Not sure if it's going to be a nothing burger. But regardless of what Powell says, as long as it's not extremely significant like a pause, the odds are still heavily, heavily favoring the downside in my eyes, given the debt ceiling and all the other factors. Powell is going to be in and out on the 19th. Then we have the next week. Then we have June coming, and so many more factors that are favoring the downside anyways. And that's why I'm still more in favor of the downside. I think the market could try to bounce temporarily, of course, for Monday, but I'm still favoring more downside. My opinion could change depending on how the market bounces and where it goes. But once again, guys, I'm still favoring more downside to come later on. We just have to be patient, and that's what I'm seeing. It's going to be affecting the QQQ. There's a bullish, not bullish, a rising wedge, right? That's a bearish formation that's still forming, and that's once again going to affect the markets. And last but not least, for Tesla, it's likely going to be tracking SPY and the QQQ. So if you look at Tesla on the 1 hour time frame, it's losing some strength. It's going to try to rebound, but if it continues to break down, we have to watch support carefully, like 163, 160. A very important support for the next few weeks approaching June is going to be 150 to 152. Tesla needs to hold this demand zone. If it ends up failing and breaking below 152 over the next couple of weeks, all right, by the time we get to the June period, there's a lot of downside. There's the gap down in the 140s that will get filled if it breaks below 150, unfortunately. It's going to act as a magnet. So just keep that in mind. I want to just inform you guys about this. I want to prepare you guys for the madness that's coming to the markets. And I also want to note that I used to talk a lot more about Tesla's fundamentals. Fundamentals are still huge for Tesla, but right now, fundamentals are not driving Tesla like they used to. They're not driving the market like they used to. The market is moving based off the Fed, inflationary data, if the Fed's going to pause or not, the debt ceiling crisis and the Fed speakers. These are affecting the market a lot more. That's why I'm prioritizing these things. But In the future, I will talk much more about Tesla's fundamentals once a lot of this noise cools off. Okay, guys? Thank you for listening. Have an absolutely incredible weekend. I have some merch for you guys if you're interested in buying anything like a hoodie, a tank top, or anything like that in the comment section. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very, very soon. I will stop promoting this very, very soon in just a couple of days. This may even be my last day promoting it. So please check it out if you're interested. If not, have a great day. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.